good to get a win. Fire away, everybody.
Coach, just, you know, we talked to Bryson, you got off to a good start, 14-0 in the first half. What did it mean, you know, Bryson was running well, Kanye Udo was running well, and you got some pass plays in?
So they played Navy early in the year and lined up in a defensive front or defensive scheme that we completely anticipated they would come out in, and they weren't. They lined up in a different front. They lined up in an odd front defense, which, you know, as Bryson said here, you know, that takes identifying that defense, blocking the plays a little bit differently because they're aligned in a different structure. But our guys handled it well, and we practice enough against multiple fronts just in case that happens. It's not uncommon for that to happen, that the teams either won't line up in their base defense or they have a certain philosophy against option teams. But our guys handled that pretty well, and obviously got out to the 14-0 start, and then it got a little sporadic. You know, there was not a lot of consistency just in terms of where the slants and angles were coming from and those kinds of things. So, you know, in the first half, we tried a lot of different things. We tried some counter plays and some option plays. We missed some reads on the option in the first half. Came up with some negative yardage plays against us because of that. And really in the second half, we just kind of got settled in. We just said, look, we're just going to run the football and try to let our offensive line control this game. And we came out in the second half, and the first couple of drives, again, were good drives for us. And then, again, we had some uncharacteristic mistakes and put us behind the sticks, and that was disappointing. But we were able to overcome it, and that was a positive. So, you know, just overall, you know, the ability to be able to kind of change and apply our rules to a different front, I thought the guys did a good job handling that.
In the second half, you got, you know, the opening kickoff, and you go 75 yards. Bryson Delaway scores, and then right after that, next possession, Kanye Udo scores on a 28-yard run. How's it feel when your offense can be consistent in the first half and then be strong again at the start of the second half?
Number one, that was a great run by Kanye Udo. That was a really great run. And, the offensive line is a veteran group. They're tough guys, and at times we were getting really good push, where it was just called runs to the B-back to Kanye or to Jake Rendina, or a called run for the quarterback. And I thought there were times we really got some good push. Give them credit. I mean, they got a very talented football team. They beat some blocks and you know, got us into 2nd and 8 and some longer yardage situations, which we'd like to get a little more on first down and give ourselves a chance to kind of pound in there on 3rd and short and 4th and short. And, so you know, they did a good job a couple times. We punted way too much for my taste. I'd like to never punt, but they made some plays. But just overall, the job of the offensive line, and that's got to be the strength of our offense if we're going to be an effective offense. So I thought everybody really persevered through some times where we didn't look as good as I hoped we would, and we went over and made some corrections and kind of pushed the guys a little bit. They came back out and responded in the 4th quarter.
And Coach, on defense, the Temple quarterback Evan Simon, 19 of 30, throwing out of the shotgun most of the time. Except for 2 plays, you held them pretty much in check, but 2 long pass completions.
Well, he made some nice throws. I mean, I think he completed about 2/3 of his passes. So
yeah,
yeah, he did a good job, and we were doing such a good job against the run that it made him one-dimensional. We had a lead, and we were doing a really good job of stopping the run. So it forced them to be in a lot of passing situations, and as the game pushed on, really their only pathway to victory was going to be to score quick and to hit some pass plays. And that allowed us to be able to call some blitzes and bring some extra rushers, and I thought Nate did a good job of getting our guys in position. But we beat some blocks. Our guys really maybe initially didn't come scot-free, but they kept pushing, kept fighting on plays, and our coverage was good enough on a lot of those plays that he kind of had to move out of the pocket, and we're able to run him down. But the one long pass on Justin Weaver on our sideline, I believe that was a third down play. We were pressed there, and he probably shouldn't have been pressed up there. He should have been playing off, and so that's. He's still got to be able to cover the guy, but that guy's a good player, a good athlete, and they're biased. And then the one long pass, we were out of position. They were going hurry up. They had just run a play, and they hurried to the line of scrimmage, and we didn't have a call or guys on the same page, unfortunately, and kind of had some guys flipping backwards a little bit. We frankly just turned that guy scot-free. There was nobody covering, and there was confusion on the call, and that's our responsibility as coaches to make sure we got that call in. And I could have called timeout there too. I didn't know we were as discombobulated as we were, or I would have. But that was unfortunate. I hate to give up cheap plays like that, and in a closer football game, that could have cost us. So there's some things we got to correct in every phase, and we'll work to get that fixed.
You were able to put pressure on the quarterback. You had a number of sacks. Ilo Mendoza, linebacker, had a nice sack. Number of others. How did you feel about being able to put pressure, using your linebackers to put pressure on the quarterback?
It was good to be able to get some negative yardage plays, because that forces them to really be one-dimensional. It makes it a lot easier to call the game, and for our defensive coaches to call the game, for Nate to do that. We hadn't had a sack. I don't think we had a sack all year. So our first one came tonight. We got a bunch of them, but it was the way the game was going that we were able to put a lot of pressure on them, and just kind of pin our ears back, knowing that they had to throw the ball, and that makes it easier too.
My final question. I really enjoyed the play. You ran it at least twice, where Connor Finucane is out in front of Bryson Daly. It's like pulling guard, but he's a right tackle.
So we've got a few plays, including the toss. We got the toss, the wide toss to the slot backs. Noah ran some, and Samari Howard, and that too are plays where you get the lineman to tackle, particularly out in space. And Connor's a good player, and I think Lucas Scott is too. Those two guys are veteran players that play in those tackle positions, and they get out there in space, and they do a good job. And so we had a couple times we got out there and either lost leverage or lost the block late, and we got to do a better job of sticking on those. Not necessarily the linemen, but just in general. And when we had a holding call, which put us behind the sticks, we jumped, had a false start, and then we ran the toss and had a guy hold, and we ended up punting on that drive. But when we have those plays and we get out there in space, we've got to be able to latch on. It's not easy for those big guys to get on safeties and corners and skill players, but Connor does a pretty good job with it. He's really good. He's patient. He's powerful enough and strong enough that when he accelerates at the end, he can latch on and do a pretty good job blocking those guys.
Seth, go ahead.
Coach, congratulations, great game. Thought the offensive line did great, as you said. Bryson Daly, I thought, had one of the gutsiest games I've ever seen at West Point. He wins a lot of games. What did you think about it? 24 carries, just got up every time, kept doing it.
The offensive line did a great job, and we've got a lot of faith in those guys as run blockers. The offensive line did really a fantastic job in the passing game of protecting our quarterback. The one sack that they looked at it to see if it was a fumble or not. That was a running back on the defensive end that gave up that what would be sack. So the offensive line did a really good job. And Bryson's a tough runner. He runs like one of our B-backs. Strong and powerful, and puts his shoulder down. He's just rugged, and he had a really good game. He's not lightning fast, but he is powerful and a tough runner, and very courageous. He's probably unique in the college football world in general, just in terms of guys that run the ball and how they run the ball, and we do it differently with him, but he's the perfect guy for our system.
Also a leader, right? I mean, they seem to follow him everywhere.
He is. He's a very confident leader. He's a coach's kid. So he's grown up around football. He's seen people leading football teams, coaches and players leading football teams his entire life. So he's doing a really good job with the guys on our team and handling the huddle and handling the offensive unit in the locker room.
Let's talk about your defense. 7 sacks, I believe. Negative yardage for rushing. Of course, there was some passing yards. But overall, I thought they played another great game. They seem to be maturing. They seem to be coming together. But what do you say?
The ability to be able to stop the run is really important. I think that, if another team has -5 yards rushing, it's going to be really hard for that team to win. I know if we had -5 yards rushing, we probably wouldn't have won tonight. So it starts there with stopping the run. They play really hard. They're tough. We're not particularly talented. It's not like we got a bunch of 5-star guys out there, guys that transferred from Power 5 schools, and these are guys that have developed and grown up through the program and take a tremendous amount of pride in how we play and the culture of our program. So they're just tough and physical, and they're doing the best they can and trying to execute their assignment and the fundamentals to the best of their ability. And that doesn't mean we're void of talent. We got some talented guys, but to say we're more talented than somebody else, it's not who we are. It's not what we pride ourselves on. And our uncle said, we just got a bunch of talented guys, and you guys will just line up and do the right thing. We'll whip somebody's tail. It's coaching with absolute exactness and ingraining into our guys the fact that we've got to play hard, play physical, and play with fanatical effort for fundamentals. And for the most part, we do. I thought we tackled good. There were a couple times we tackled high and missed those tackles. But we're just doing a much better job of tackling low and taking guys' legs, which usually that ends the play.
Final question. A couple of people I was talking to, texting with the first touchdown they scored, that got called back on the holding. I think it was Eric Ford. Is that it? They said that he kind of created the holding, got around the offensive lineman, and he was forced to hold him. Did you see that? Did you see anything?
No, I saw the guy run scot-free down the middle of the field, and I was, there's smoke coming out of my ears. The guy made a double move and beat us, and that's the thing about our defense. We can't give up those big plays. We got to keep everything in front of us because we're not built that way to cover guys on double moves, and athletic enough and fast enough to catch back up when that happens. And that guy got behind us, and thankfully, it was a holding call, and it got brought back, and they didn't score in the draft.
Real quick question. Army's 4-0. How do you feel?
I feel like I'd love to have a really good practice tomorrow afternoon because there's a lot of things we did tonight that we've got to do better. And if we continue to make some of those mistakes that we made tonight, somebody's going to get us. So we got to improve and get better, and that's all I think about it.
Couple more in the red.
The first 2 possessions of the game, Temple went ahead and drove down the field, scored a touchdown. However, there was a holding penalty that was, if the call or the touchdown was wiped off the board. Then you guys, Army, went ahead and scored a touchdown on the next possession. So talk about how those 2 possessions were extremely important to the outcome of this game.
Well, when you can take a touchdown off the board, that's big, number one. And to answer that with 7 more, that's a 14-point swing. So it was big in the game, and obviously it was 14-0 at halftime. Frankly, a little disappointed because we punted a couple times in the first half. The second and third drive, we got ourselves behind the sticks and didn't do a very good job offensively. So that was a big swing in the game.
And also, how will you continue to sustain the success that you've had so far this season?
Well, I hope we'll do a better job of not giving up big plays on defense. There were 3. The one that got called back for the penalty, and then the 2 others. We can't give up those big plays. We've got to eliminate those. We've got to be able to run the ball when get behind schedule and 2nd and 8, we got to be able to run the ball and get a first down and not have to rely on long yardage situation passes. So, you know, there's some things schematically that we'll probably look at and see other things we may be able to do to help us in those situations. Like I said, there's a lot of things fundamentally we got to get better at, and execution that we got to get better at. So, if other teams are going to improve, I hope we can improve.
Anything else for Coach? Last one.
Coach, just when you sit down with Bryce and Daly, discuss the game, how will you talk about the second quarter a late pitch that went out of bounds?
Well, I mean, that it wasn't a very smart play. He had one of those in game 1 that we got after him about. I didn't think he would make that mistake again, and unfortunately he did. Can't do that. It's going to cost us. And then he went over there and batted the ball out of bounds, which, you know what? He's just trying to make a play. He knew that we needed to maintain possession, and that's something that I do a lot of football 101 stuff with our guys. This is a complex game, and to cover all the rules and all the little nuggets, as I think about it, that's not a nugget that I covered in preseason camp. We covered a lot of stuff, but you can't intentionally bat the ball out of bounds. We did on the special teams nuggets. You know, if it goes over the punter's head, the punter can't kick it out of the back of the end zone. We covered that, and we talked about all those scenarios, but that's not one I covered. So I said that on the headset to the coaches. I said, you know, he's just trying to make a play. I didn't cover that in preseason camp with all the other rule stuff. So tomorrow, that'll be one of the things I cover, and we'll talk about that rule.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks guys. Appreciate it.